Hi, everyone. This is Melissa, and I've got someone here with me who just happens to be my favorite realtor for the state of Oklahoma. This is Edward J., who also happens to be my son. And we're going to talk about several things that can impact seniors, primarily on the real estate side. My first thought was I've seen all these for sale by owner signs, and that's my question for him today. So here's Edward J. And if you would, Edward, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on your show. It's hopefully the first of many episodes that we'll have on real estate. But I know we talk about we call them Fsbo, for sale by owner, and for seniors, we talk about, well, is actually a right choice for someone to sell their home on their own? Typically, not, but and we'll go over that in more detail as far as why that's not a good choice. There's always options, but we want to express a few concerns when you're trying to sell your home on your own as a senior selling your home.
Thank you. Now, one of the things is I know for a fact if it were me trying to sell my home, thinking, yeah, I can do this on my own. Maybe I've already bought a couple and no big deals, I can do this. But what are the risks of someone like me or anyone trying to do this on their own? And how complex is it for seniors to even start all of this?
Okay.
What do you think?
So several, three come to mind. One would be being vulnerable to scams and, just unrealistic offers. And they're always out there. I'm sure you've had letters in the mail. Would you want to sell your home at this value? And they give you an X amount of dollars, quick close, no cash. We take care of all closings. And there's so many incentives
Yeah,
that are, we call them, you become a target actually of like predatory buyers.
kind
And
of
they're
prey on you, sort of.
Pretty much, yes. And there's the offers. At the end of the day, the offer could be, they can offer you X, whatever the amount is. It could be what you really wanted or even more. But then when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, that offer could be substantially lower than the market value. And you've wasted a lot of your time, and they may talk you into it because of whatever issues they may see with your house that you don't even know of or don't even have a really good understanding of what that is. So those scams are out there. There's unrealistic offers. That's one of those things. So be very cognizant of the letters you're getting, the emails, the text messages, the phone calls. Just understand that if you don't have a realtor in place and you're considering one, hopefully I would be the one. I do work for Cowan and Co. Realty Group. We're part of the Keller Williams real estate family in Owasso, Oklahoma. So we do our best to work with our seniors to get them to understand what an offer is, if it's really a scam, if it's not, those kind of things. So we just want to make sure that they have the best information in front of them to make a good decision.
Is there, because I know uh, for many seniors who, need to sell their home for whatever reason, financial or just health issues, and, need to go into some other location.
Or
And maybe,
downsizing. Downsizing is another big one.
well, and that's true. But I'm more thinking like if they have adult children,
Mhm.
let's say, for example, like you, this doesn't apply to you, by the way, but let's say if they have adult children and their children are saying, well, we'll go ahead and sell it for you and we'll list it for sale by owner, which is, they are the owner.
Mhm.
I mean, that has to play on their emotions, and chances are they just want to dump the house, to get the financial gain and have whoever first come, first serve kind of thing buy this. So,
Mhm.
who would be the ultimate sacrifice person other than the owner if they get somebody trying to buy this home and the paperwork is not in order, all of it, legally
Okay.
and everything?
Yeah.
That possible?
So that does happen. Family members feel they're doing, what's best for their parents or their grandparents or whatever the consideration may be. But if they don't have the experience, they don't have the knowledge of the market, or they don't know the legalities of the documentation, whether it's listing the property correctly, disclosures of the home,
Yeah.
just that in general, that could create legal issues down the road. So if you have a family member that wants to sell your home for you, I would highly suggest, one, call a realtor just to get a second opinion. There's no obligation. I can give consultations all day just to give you an idea what it would be, and there's no charge for it. If you do decide to have a family member sell your home for you, I would highly suggest getting with an attorney, a CPA, because it's not just about the house being in your name. They would potentially need a power of attorney to sell for you because somebody's got to sign the documentation. Somebody's got to have legal authority to sell the house and to claim the funds at the end of the day, at the end of the transaction. So there's a lot more intricacy instead of just having a family member sell the house for you, especially if you don't live there anymore. You've moved out, went to Florida to retire, and you have a $250,000, $300,000 house in Tulsa somewhere, or Broken Arrow, or wherever it may be, and you're relying on your family members to sell it for you. There could be some issues there, underlying considerations that are missed through that process of selling the house, and that's going to come back on you because at the end of the day, it's still your home. So I highly recommend if you decide you want a family member to do that, get an attorney involved, figure out a CPA for the funds and how this is all going to play out at the end of the day. Because once the deal's done, everybody walks away hopefully in a better condition than when you started, and it's profitable.
So getting back to selling of the home,
Right?
and we're still on for sale by owner. As we all know, greed has a lot to play in all of this. So I'm the homeowner and I've got an adult child, not you, but
The
I
one I
think
don't know about apparently.
what we'll talk off camera about that one. But I think my home is worth twice the amount. It is to me, but
Yeah,
it's not going to be that when it comes time to selling. But I want top dollar plus. And of course, like I said, greed comes into play. So my adult child, not you, is willing to try to do this, get the biggest bang for the buck. Now,
right.
in a case like that, if you're doing it for sale by owner, how would somebody even start to advertise out there when you really have no professional to help you? So is that a benefit to have a professional like you do the legwork, the comp work, all that kind of stuff to make sure I'm not being stupid crazy wanting all this money for a little house that's not worth it?
Right. So yeah, so if you've got high expectations and maybe the neighbor across the street or 2 blocks away sold their house for, 300,000 and you're thinking I could get that. Well, unless you've actually had somebody walk the property with you, show you what they consider comps in the neighborhood. So, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 2 car garage, detached garage. Maybe you're on a quarter acre. Maybe you're on a residential lot, a corner lot. There's so many variables to determine value. It's not an emotional value. There's emotional values typically higher than the actual market value.
Oh, yeah.
As realtors, we are trained and focused on what the market yields, right? It's just there's a saying is your house is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. Well, that's true in a sense, but it's also based on the market itself. If it goes into interest rates, it goes into the type of financial situation that the buyer's in. And I'm not a lender, I'm not an attorney. I suggest, we can find those for you. I've got enough contractors and vendors in place to make this a smooth process. But at the end of the day, we have to look at the big picture. Who's out there willing to purchase? What's the actual value of the property? That's the walkthrough. We do, it's almost like we do a tour of the home. We walk in and say, okay, this is what I'm seeing. Here's the market. Here's like type properties in your neighborhood. I know you want 280,000, but based on the condition of the home, what I'm seeing in the market, we're probably realistically at 265, maybe 255. But I have documentation showing it. It's not my opinion because Ed says so. It's the market. It's what's out there. There's valid documentation showing what your property is actually worth. And that's the conversation we need to have with a for sale by owner and seniors out there that want to sell their home because there's a lot of emotional attachment, but that doesn't equate to the dollar value.
Correct. Okay. So again, I've got the for sale by owner
Mhm.
sign out in my front yard. meet up with someone like you, then oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I can just go take that sign out of my yard and there's no obligated wait time like there would be if you're going from one realtor to another, correct?
Correct. Right. Yeah, it's just it's your option to sell your home, and you can pull that Fsbo, we call it Fsbo for sale by owner sign at any time. Maybe
Okay.
the day I show up, you give it a few days, think about it, you pull it later. And then at that point, we get into a contractual obligation to sell your home, and then we have a big marketing campaign to sell your home. So it's not just the neighborhood or people you know, or you hope you put it somewhere on Facebook and maybe it sells, maybe it doesn't. There's a lot more intricate details to legally protect you and your property and to make sure it's actually marketed correctly.
Okay. All right. Well, now, is there any other option like to sell it on where, just what do I need to fix this thing up? Do I need to invest a lot of money for the front yard, like they see curb value and all that kind of, I mean, what are the considerations for someone, a senior especially, to get their home ready or maybe not to sell?
Okay. So there's a few options. One in particular, if you're just wanting to walk away from the house, you're done. Maybe you don't even live in it anymore. You're already in another location. I say Florida, it could be Colorado, could be New Mexico, could be wherever, it doesn't matter. And you just want to sell the house. You don't want to put any more money into it. You just want to get rid of it. We consider that selling as is, where is. No obligation to fix anything. Don't care what's wrong with it. It's just this, you want to sell it for X amount of dollars. The buyer comes in and says, okay, well, I'll take it, but I'm only going to pay for X because now they're seeing what needs to be fixed. So there's some negotiations involved in that, which can be done. But just understanding that, if you don't want to touch it, you want to walk away from it and just sell it as is, we can do that. We can make it happen. But I think that's one of the considerations is as is where is.
And do
Now
you
if
go
it's
back and forth at that point, with this amount, get that amount, I mean, amount, or
to a
no?
point, well, to a point, I mean, let's just say you wanted to sell your house for 250,000, as is where is. You're not touching it, you're not fixing anything, you're just going to walk away. Buyer
No.
comes in and looks at the house and you're asking 250. Now they walk through it and figure out, okay, well, it needs new carpet, it needs paint, the AC or the water heater needs to be replaced. Maybe the roof needs to be replaced. And there's a few things. There's some big ticket items, but then there's some cosmetics. So at the end of the day, they're saying, okay, you want 250, but you're not going to fix anything. I'll make this offer of 230, taking 20,000 off because now the buyer has to go ahead and put the new roof in, put the water heater in, carpet, all this other stuff. You don't want to touch it? Fine. Well, then there's a cost for that if they figure if there's a value there that they're having to pay for to get it to 250. So the negotiations happen. And that's something I would have a conversation with the seller saying, okay, look, this is what they're offering and this is why. You don't want to touch it, it's as is, that's great. But they're wanting their concessions are taking 20,000 off so they can fix everything that you didn't want to fix. And that's a conversation we have. So that would be part of the process.
Well, what else? I mean, is there anything else? I mean, can you, uh, if I wanted to walk away, like you say, walk away, they sell it as is, or maybe I'm
Mhm.
thinking about it, and maybe I don't want to do that just yet. Uh, can I rent it out to you?
Maybe. I mean, I've got a team in place that, we can do that. But that was another, it's a good question because maybe maybe you're not ready to sell yet because maybe the market's not ready.
Yeah.
You're wanting
So,
X amount of dollars, hoping that the market gets better. That's fine. We can, I'll give you the options. I'll give you expectations of what the market shows now, and it's a gamble. So, real estate's not a guarantee. Real estate is just a means of selling and obtaining assets, property at a certain time at a certain value. So with that said, maybe let's say we put the house on the market, and I'm saying 250 just because it's a standard number, 250,000, and it sits on the market for 6 months, sits on the market for 8 months. We get a couple lowball offers, then crickets, nothing. A lot of things. The market will dictate what the value is. Will dictate what kind of buyers show up. Will also dictate what kind of market rates buyers come in at. And if none of that makes sense and you feel that, hey, I've just maybe I'm going to hold it, that's fine. We renegotiate and say, okay, well, let's pull it off the market. Let's figure out what the rent's going to look like for you to rent your home. And then we have that's a separate conversation in all its own because now we determine, do you still owe on this house? Are you still making mortgage payments? If you're
Oh,
making a mortgage payment at 1,800 a month
yeah.
and you can only rent it for 900, that's a problem. That math doesn't add up. You're still making payments on something you really just want to get out of. So that's the other conversation. So, it's those are harder conversations to have, but at the end of the day, it's all about the market, what it's going to yield, how it's going to sell your property, or how it's going to rent your property. But we have those conversations all the time. And it's, again, no obligation for the conversation. We just need to make sure you have the information in your hands so you can make the right decision.
Thank you. Well, this has been cool.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say that you can say on camera?
On camera, well, again, there's so many other, with seniors and real estate, there's so many other options and considerations. I mean, it's not doesn't it sometimes it's not your primary house. So maybe there's other assets in place that it's not your primary home. You have land, you have a portfolio of 10, 20 houses. Those assets are different considerations. So you look at the financial aspects of it for 1031 exchanges, or is it in an LLC? Is it in a trust? Has nothing to do with your primary home.
If anyone has any comments about this video or anything that you have potentially maybe thinking of selling your home or with a what if, please put that in my comments. If obviously I can't answer them for you, I will certainly get those comments over to Edward J. And we hope to see you soon in another video. This has been great. Thank you, Edward. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.